Medical marijuana makes its way to the House floor. The Foster Children's Bill of Rights heads to the governor's desk. And a committee hears a bill proposing protections for minors from internet threats on day 25 of the Kentucky General Assembly in regular session. Good evening, everyone, and thank you for joining us tonight. I'm Casey Parker Bell. Prescriptions for the high-powered painkillers, opioids, would be reduced, and relief for patients who suffer from conditions not adequately treated with conventional medicines would be possible if Kentucky legalizes medical marijuana. That's the contention of sponsors of House Bill 136, who were the first to get a vote on a medical marijuana bill in the House Judiciary Committee tonight. Two Republican lawmakers are the sponsors, Diane St from Fort Wright and Onge Jason Nemes. They are advocating for Kentucky to join 33 other states that have legalized medical marijuana.
This bill is solely a medical marijuana bill. It is not recreational in nature at all. We both strongly oppose recreational marijuana, but we feel that we are not serving the Commonwealth and her citizens well by ignoring this large population of people who cannot have any comfort out of from some of the illnesses that they are experiencing, whether it be chronic pain or treatments of chemotherapy for cancer or a number of illnesses.
The bill has undergone several revisions. Provisions that would have allowed patients to smoke marijuana and grow 6 mature plants and 6 seedlings to have their own source, called home grow, were removed. House Bill 136 sets up a trust fund dedicated to patients who meet federal poverty guidelines to get a discount on the weed they purchase from dispensaries. There's no state sales tax, and the revised measure also puts limits on THC levels, the psychoactive ingredient that causes a high.
We understood that a very high level of THC might be problematic. And so what we have put in is what Ohio has, and Ohio is the only other state that has this in there. We have got limitations on the THC level, so we are ensured that it would be 35% of plant product. You could not have more than 35% THC in plant product, and you could not have more than 70% THC in processed product. So we put that in at the last minute. Also, some folks had raised objections to not having that in there. Our oral consumption is not more than 10 milligrams of THC per serving. That is also in there.
The medical marijuana bill applies a 12% excise tax to the sale of the dispensary by a cultivator or processor. Representative Jason Nemes explained that there must be a bona fide doctor-patient relationship for their physician to make a recommendation for marijuana to be used for a list of medical conditions such as AIDS and HIV, Crohn's disease, epilepsy, and chronic pain.
And every time a doctor makes a recommendation, her license is on the line as it ought to be. Representative Harris, when you and I sign a document in court, our license is on the line, and that's the way it ought to be, and that's what it will be here for doctors. For the patient, what does the patient do? The patient goes to the patient's doctor, bona fide physician-patient relationship. They go to the doctor, and if it's one of the approved conditions, the initial bill we didn't have any conditions, but it's another concession we had to make. So we have a list of conditions, and provided they have that list of conditions, and the doctor thinks that it's appropriate for that individual patient, they can make the recommendation, and then the patient can take that to the dispensary and get the product that the doctor thinks that her doctor thinks will help her.
Eric Crawford, a quadriplegic from Mason County, told the House Judiciary panel that he was tired of living like a lawbreaker. He's a member of the group Kentuckians for Medicinal Marijuana, and for several sessions he's petitioned lawmakers to legalize medicinal marijuana for Kentuckians like him, who suffer from medical conditions that opioids have not helped ease.
If House Bill 136, medical cannabis, were to pass and become law in Kentucky, I would not be a criminal. I would not have to live in fear. I would not have to lay awake at night worrying about the law enforcement coming into my home. I would not have to stress out about going to jail or losing my home, farm, and freedom. My poor wife and mother could relax too. Living afraid is not conducive to good health. If House Bill 136 became law, I would have safe access to legal cannabis.
Dr. Jared Madden, a family physician from eastern Kentucky, testified that a good portion of his practice is built around pain management. He believes the benefits of medical marijuana far outweigh any risks, but a Louisville pain and addiction specialist rendered a contrasting medical opinion.
Fewer than 1% of my patients are actually taking narcotics on a chronic basis. And again, I think if we had more tools like this that we could use in combination with other potentially non-addictive and non-life-threatening treatments, it would help countless patients. And again, when I look at managing a patient, the primary issues are risks versus benefits. And when we talk about medical marijuana, there's just nothing else that compares. There are no fatal overdoses associated with that medication. You can't say the same thing about over-the-counter medications like Tylenol or aspirin.
We also have evidence that marijuana can cause harm. It's not as innocuous as you think. Marijuana can lead to a lowering of the IQ in developing brains. Heavy users in adolescence are much more likely to go on to do drugs when they get older. The thought that it's not a gateway drug is simply not borne out by the evidence. The thought that it will solve the opioid crisis is simply not true. In the states where you'll see the evidence where they talk about how the overdose rate has dropped by 25 or whatever percent they want to say since the marijuana laws have been legalized there, what they don't say is that also other things have happened as well, like we have a CASPER program here, the prescription monitoring programs. New regulations for prescribing opioids have happened. Plus, there's been more Narcan available, so less people dying of these conditions. New information that's coming out has also shown that chronic pain patients that are given access to marijuana, what happens is they do take the marijuana, they like it, but they don't decrease their opioid use. They just add on the marijuana.
House Bill 136 passed the House Judiciary Committee with 1 no vote and 1 pass vote.